Great management isn't just a collection of skills, it's a perspective or a mindset. And oftentimes people are promoted into management without really understanding what that means or how they fit into the organisation. In this video, instead of sharing activities that look at particular management skills, I'm going to share 3 cool activities that help people get a sense of what it means to be a manager and where they fit in the organisation, as well as what's their individual management style and how does that impact the way they lead. Hi, I'm Kerry Price. I'm the founder of the Facilitators Network, and I use deliberate generosity to make sure that no meeting or workshop is ever wasted. I've been facilitating for 20 odd years, and in that time I've led thousands of meetings, workshops and community conversations. Nowadays, I help other trainers and facilitators do it well too. So often people end up in management positions because they were really good at whatever task it was they were doing before, but they don't necessarily know what it means to be a manager. So yes, we need to teach management skills, but more importantly, people need to understand where they fit in the organisation and the impact that they can have by showing up the way they do. In this video, I share 3 activities that focus on that aspect of management. Where do I fit and how does my behaviour impact others? Activity 1 is called Columbian Hypnosis, and this is powerful in any setting when you're talking about management or leadership, but it's particularly powerful if you've got a bunch of managers in the room who are all at different stages. Early managers, middle managers, senior managers. This is a really great activity for showing the impact of organisational structure. So how it works is you invite people to first of all find a partner. One person is to be the hypnotist and one person is being hypnotised. The invitation is for the hypnotist to hold up their palm of their hand, just like this, about 1 metre away from the person's face. You don't want it to be like this, right? About 1 metre away from the person's face. And as you move the palm of your hand, the person you are hypnotising moves their head to match the hand. So I'm going. You can make people go backwards, forwards, up, and down. Leave the partners trying that out for just a couple of minutes and getting comfortable with the movement. Then invite them to get a little bit more courageous. They can start moving people around the room by actually walking forward, walking back, bending sideways, doing all sorts of strange directions. Remind them that they need to be kind to the person they're working with. Once everyone's got the hang of how the hypnotist and the hypnotisee work together, you can add an extra element that starts to mimic what an organisational structure looks like. So now, instead of having one hypnotist and one hypnotisee, we want one person hypnotising 2 people. So we've got 2 hands going, 2 people on either side. Leave that going for a couple of minutes. And then we want to create a pyramid of 4 or 5. The first person is hypnotising 2 people, and then the next people are hypnotising people beyond them. You can keep creating layers to the pyramid until you are 3 or 4 or 5 levels of management deep. And this is where it gets interesting. The person who's in the second level is busy watching how they're being hypnotised, while at the same time trying to hypnotise someone else. And this mimics what happens in an organisation. When you're in middle management, you're trying to take orders or directions or instructions from the person you report to, while at the same time trying to connect with and give instructions to the people who answer to you. I let this activity run for 4 or 5 minutes, and we mix it up so people get to experience what it's like at different levels of the organisation. And then once it's done, we debrief with a simple question: what did you notice? As people start to bubble up what they noticed about the activity, I might ask extra questions like, what surprised you about that? How did you feel when? What might you have done differently if we were to give it another go? And then ultimately, how does this relate to the way you manage your teams back at work? Those debriefing questions is what makes the whole activity worthwhile. Activity 2 is called Put Yourself in the Picture. And this is a really super simple activity that just gets people thinking about what is their management style? How do they think they fit into the organisation? What is it that they are wanting to bring to the role? Now, you can use any image for this, but I most often use this image, which is showing right here, and you can download a copy of this image from my website. The link is in the description below. Now, I run this activity in lots of different ways, but most often I'll print out this image on postcards, and each person will have a picture, and then I invite them to share with a partner where they see themselves as a manager in this picture. Now, this picture has nothing to do with management, as you can see, but it's what they make the picture mean that is important. For example, they might say that they're one of the snorkelers down in the cave. That means as a manager, they don't mind going into the dark places and doing the scary stuff. They're pretty courageous. They might decide that they're the snorkeler putting the shoe on the end of the fishing line. To them, that might represent that they're always there for their team and they're going to make sure that their team always has wins, even if they have to be hiding behind the scenes to make it happen. It doesn't matter who they choose or what they make it mean. The picture is just a way to be able to articulate what's important to them. Now, like I said, I often do this just in pairs with postcards, and then I get people to popcorn those ideas back into the room. But sometimes I print it out onto something much bigger, something like this. And I use that as a cluster point. The group clusters around the picture, and collectively we talk about the different styles and where in the picture they fit. Activity 3, draw a vehicle to represent your management style. Now, I really like this activity because it gives people time to process and ponder, what is my management style? And what on earth does that mean as a vehicle? Now, to start with, people can trip over themselves trying to get the right answer. So I often share with them my vehicle and let them know that it doesn't need to be gallery worthy. It doesn't even need to make sense. It's just a way of articulating what's important to you. So my management style is a cross between a homing pigeon and a party bus. And I deliberately draw it a little bit terrible so they know the standard doesn't have to be that high. My management style is a homing pigeon, which means I'm really clear where home is. I'm really clear what the outcomes are and what success looks like. So we might pivot, we might go in different directions, we might go over mountains and into valleys, but we're always heading home. And it's crossed with a party bus because I like to lead people in a way that they're coming along with me, we're having fun, and we're all getting involved. It's not just sitting passively on the seats. Once I've explained my vehicle, the homing pigeon and the party bus, I then invite people to draw a vehicle to represent their management style. And I give them 3 or 4 minutes on their own just to process that. Now, to begin with, some people will say, I don't know, I can't draw, I don't even know what that looks like. The invitation is to just start drawing and the meaning will come. Once people have finished drawing their vehicle, I invite people to get into pairs and share with their partner what their vehicle is and what it represents. Plus, why that vehicle is such a good vehicle for management. So they're really focusing on the value that their particular style brings. We then come back into the room, we popcorn in, we share some of the stories and what is great about their particular management style or management vehicle. And then I pose the question, what might go wrong if that vehicle was being driven badly? Or what might go wrong if you were driving that vehicle without conscious thought? So for example, in my vehicle, homing pigeon versus the party bus, the two could get separated. I could be flying home, flying to the outcomes, to my measure of success, and leave the party bus behind, which wouldn't make great leadership. Equally, the party bus could get over raucous or over heavy and could drag the homing pigeon down. So the things that I needed to be mindful of. Once I've given that example to get them thinking, They then go back into pairs and talk about their own blind spots or what might go wrong with that particular management style. Now, talking about their management style as a vehicle makes it much easier to talk about the stuff that's not that great because it's less personal. They're just describing a vehicle. They're not describing themselves, after all. Of course, good managers also have to be good leaders, and in fact, management and leadership is often used interchangeably these days, and for good reason. So if you want to move past management and understanding where they fit in the organizational structure, go check out my next video, Leadership Development Training Activities. There I share 3 activities that help people develop critical leadership skills. The link's in the description below. Go check it out.